This video is about the single mom arrived at the bookstore and a rich stranger offered to carry her bag. If this story touches your heart, please mention where you are watching from in the comments. Please like the video and share your thoughts in comments. As the morning sun spilled golden light across the city, Emma Reynolds parked her beat-up station wagon in front of Turn the Page, a quaint bookstore tucked between a coffee shop and a florist. The scent of fresh coffee wafted through the open door, mingling with the delicate aroma of blooming flowers. Emma stepped out, a slight crease in her forehead as she glanced at the ever-growing pile of bags in the backseat. Her 5-year-old son, Leo, was a voracious reader, and every month she indulged his passion with a new stack of books. Today, though, she felt the weight of the world on her shoulders, both literally and metaphorically, as she juggled motherhood with working part-time at the local community center. As she adjusted the strap of her oversized tote bulging with library returns and a few of her own cherished novels, she felt the familiar pang of exhaustion. Just a few more books, and we'll all be set for story time, she whispered to herself, trying to summon the optimism that sometimes felt so elusive. The bell chimed softly as she entered the bookstore, and she was greeted by the comforting sight of floor-to-ceiling shelves brimming with stories waiting to be discovered. The muted conversations of customers blended harmoniously with the soft rustle of pages turning. Emma breathed in the atmosphere, letting it wash over her like a balm. As she wandered through the aisles, her fingers brushed against the spines of the books, feeling their potential stories vibrate beneath her touch. Her heart ached for the tales of adventure and love, but her mind was drawn back to her reality bills to pay, a job search that hadn't yielded results, and the constant worry about being a good mother. "Mommy, look." Leo's voice broke through her thoughts as he bounded toward her, clutching a bright blue book adorned with cartoon spaceships. "Can we get this one? It is about aliens." Emma smiled, the weariness momentarily lifted from her shoulders. "Of course, sweetheart, that looks like a fun read." She crouched beside him, meeting his wide eyes filled with excitement. "But remember, we have to keep a budget. How about we pick one more and then we'll see?" Leo nodded earnestly, and as they perused the shelves together, Emma's thoughts drifted. She admired her son's infectious enthusiasm and found solace in the simplicity of his joy. But beneath her smile, a shadow lingered. Her mind was never far from the nagging feeling of inadequacy. Was she doing enough for him? As they reached the checkout, Emma felt a sudden rush of relief at the thought of finally crossing another errand off her list. She loaded the books onto the counter, glancing at the cashier, an older woman with silver-streaked hair and warm eyes. "2 more for you today?" the cashier asked, her smile genuine. "Yes, just 2. Emma felt the weight of her budget in her chest, but she reminded herself that books were a priceless investment in Leo's imagination. Just as she rummaged through her purse for her wallet, a deep voice interrupted her thoughts. "Excuse me, do you need a hand with that?" Emma looked up, startled. Standing beside her was a tall man with tousled dark hair, warm hazel eyes, and a tailored overcoat that spoke of affluence. She took a step back, feeling a flutter of something unfamiliar in her stomach. "No, really, I can manage," she replied, feeling both flattered and defensive. The man held up his hands in a gesture of goodwill. "I am not trying to intrude, just thought I'd help." Emma hesitated, glancing at Leo, who was momentarily distracted by a colorful sticker displayed near the register. Her instincts screamed for her to decline, but there was something disarming about the man's earnest expression. "I thank you," she finally said, her voice softer. "I just don't want to inconvenience you." "And not an inconvenience at all. I am Alexander, by the way." He smiled, his eyes lighting up in a way that made her heart race slightly. "Emma," she replied, her tone more tentative now. "Is this little one your son?" he asked, tilting his head toward Leo, who was now fully immersed in examining the sticker. "Yes, this is Leo," she replied, pride and protectiveness swelling in her chest. "He loves books. I tried to keep up with his enthusiasm." "I can see that," Alexander said, his gaze warm as he directed it toward Leo. "Good choice on the aliens. Are you looking for anything specific today?" Emma hesitated, her eyes flickering back to the books stacked on the counter. "Just trying to find great stories for him," she said, an edge of uncertainty creeping into her voice. Something to spark his imagination." "Imagination is everything," he replied, his voice low and smooth. "That's where all the best adventures start. How about a suggestion?" Emma felt a flicker of interest, but a part of her was cautious. She couldn't help but notice the way his presence filled the space around her, commanding attention without effort. "Sure, I'd love to hear your recommendation." Alexander stepped closer, his body language open and inviting. There's a book I read as a child, a classic. It is called The Little Prince. It is whimsical and poignant, perfect for sparking a child's imagination and adults too, if you haven't read it. She noted the way he spoke, his passion evident. I haven't actually. I am not sure I even know where to find it here. I'll help you look, he offered, and without waiting for her consent, he moved toward a nearby shelf. Emma followed, torn between curiosity and practicality. As they sifted through titles, she was acutely aware of the chemistry building between them, a tension that prickled the air. They stood close, their shoulders brushing with every shift, sending an unexpected thrill through her. Emma took a breath, trying to steady her thoughts. Leo, why don't you take a look over there, she suggested, pointing down the aisle. You might find something else you like. Okay, Mom. Leo darted off, leaving Emma alone with Alexander, who glanced at her, a spark of amusement in his eyes. Is it always just the two of you? He asked, genuine curiosity lacing his tone. Emma hesitated, considering her words. For the most part, yes, I am a single mom. My ex-husband is not really in the picture. The admission felt like an unguarded moment, but she quickly added, but we read good, just a little tight sometimes. Alexander nodded, his expression earnest. I can relate, life has its challenges, but it sounds like you doing wonderfully. She felt warmth bloom in her chest, but the flicker of vulnerability also made her wary. Thank you, but I am just trying to get through each day. It's not easy. Nothing worthwhile is, he replied, his gaze deepening as he continued searching the shelf. But you seem to have a great spirit about you. Emma felt the compliment linger between them, charged with unspoken subtext. I am just trying to find joy in the little things, she said lightly, though the weight of her circumstances felt heavier in that moment. He turned to her, his eyes searching hers. That is a beautiful way to live, and I admire it. Before she could respond, Leo returned, his arms now full of another book and a small toy spaceship. Mom, look what else I found. Emma felt the warmth seep back into the air as she turned to her son, smiling at his enthusiasm. That is great, buddy, ready to check out? As they approached the counter, Emma felt a pang of regret at the fleeting connection with Alexander, knowing it would likely end as soon as they left the bookstore. But just as she placed the books on the counter, Alexander stepped up beside her. Let me get those, he said, pulling out his wallet. No, really, you don't have to do that, Emma protested, her cheeks warming in surprise. Consider it a gift to the future reader, he said, his tone light yet firm. I insist. Emma felt her heart race, a mix of gratitude and a sudden urge to refuse. I can't let you do that. It is too much. It is just a few books, he replied, but there was a glimmer in his eyes that hinted at something deeper. Just think of it as a gesture of goodwill. She hesitated, torn between pride and the realization of how generous he was being. Finally, she nodded reluctantly. Thank you, really, that is very kind of you. As he paid, their fingers brushed as they both reached for the books at the same time, a brief but electric touch that sent a shiver through her. Emma quickly pulled back her hand, feeling the warmth rush to her cheeks. You should come by the bookstore more often, Alexander said, handing the cashier a crisp bill. I'd love to see how Leo's reading progresses. I think that can be arranged, she ventured, her heart pounding at the implication behind his words. As they stepped outside, the sun now blazing overhead, Emma felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. As they stepped outside, the sun now blazing overhead, Emma felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. The warmth of the day enveloped her, but it did little to quell the fluttering in her stomach. Alexander's kindness had caught her off guard, stirring something deep within her that she thought had long been dormant. So, do you often play the gallant stranger? She asked, her voice teasing but laced with a hint of genuine curiosity. The light banter felt safe, a way to navigate the unexpected chemistry lingering between them. He chuckled, the sound rich and warm. Only on rare occasions and only when I see someone in need of rescuing. His gaze held hers, and for a moment the world around them faded, leaving just the two of them standing in the golden light of the afternoon. Rescuing, I think that is a bit dramatic, Emma said, her heart racing as she tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. I am just a mom trying to keep up with a curious 5-year-old. But it is heroic work, he replied, his tone earnest, eyes sparkling with mischief. It takes a real hero to navigate the whims of a small child and still keep a sense of humor about it. Emma felt her cheeks warm. Maybe it takes a bit of madness too, she responded, laughter bubbling at the edges of her words. Sometimes I wonder if I should have invested in a few more adult books rather than just picture books. Don't underestimate the power of a good picture book, Alexander countered, a teasing smile on his lips. They hold more wisdom than you might think. Besides, he added, leaning slightly closer, what is life without a little whimsy? In that moment, the air thickened with tension, the badger shifting into something deeper. Emma felt acutely aware of his proximity, the way his warmth seemed to radiate towards her, making the sunless day feel almost electric. She glanced back at Leo, who was busy inspecting the toy spaceship he had found, blissfully unaware of the simmering connection between his mother and the stranger. So, what do you do when you're not saving single mothers at the bookstore? Em asked, stepping back a fraction, trying to anchor herself in the conversation. I run a small tech startup, Alexander said, his expression shifting slightly, a hint of pride flashing across his face. It has hectic, but rewarding. I thrive on the excitement of creating something from scratch. That sounds fascinating, she replied, genuinely intrigued. I can't even imagine the kind of dedication that requires. Do you find time to read, given the demands of running a business? More than you do think, he admitted, a glint in his eye. There is a certain escapism in books that helps me recharge, and who doesn't he need a break from reality every now and then? Emma nodded, feeling a strange kinship in their shared appreciation for literature. It is nice to escape into a good book, but I often find that life has a way of pulling me back so quickly. I understand that, he said, his voice softening. Life can be a relentless teacher, but it is the little moments, the joy of reading with Leo, the simplicity of being present that make it all worthwhile. His sincerity struck a chord within her, nudging at the insecurities she often avoided. I just hope I am doing enough for him. Sometimes I feel like I am not giving him the best life, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper, her heart in her throat. From what I can see, you are doing an incredible job, Alexander reassured her, his gaze steady. He is happy, curious, and full of life. That speaks volumes about his upbringing. It is not about perfection, it is about love. Emma swallowed hard, surprised by the impact of his words. Thank you, that means more to me than you know. A part of her wanted to lean into the moment, to draw closer to him, but an internal voice cautioned against it. She was still navigating the aftermath of her marriage, still quieting her heart's desire for connection. Think of it this way, Alexander continued, seemingly sensing her hesitation. Every story has its ups and downs, its conflicts and resolutions. Your story isn't defined by a single chapter. His metaphor struck a note within her, soothing her self-doubt. That is a beautiful way to look at it, she said softly, meeting his gaze once again. I guess I just focused too much on the challenges. There's strength in vulnerability, Emma, he said, his voice steady and warm. Reaching out, connecting, it requires courage. His words hung between them, heavy with meaning. Emma felt a swell of gratitude, coupled with an undeniable longing. If only she could let herself be more open, allow herself a moment of joy without the shadows of the past looming overhead. Hey, Mom, look. Leo's voice cut through the moment, pulling Emma back to reality. He held up the toy spaceship, grinning widely. Can I have this too? Emma turned her attention to Leo, torn between her desire to indulge him and her ever-present budget constraints. Leo, we'll have to see if we can manage it, she replied softly, the warmth of the earlier conversation flickering slightly. I'll cover it, Alexander said, surprising both of them. Consider it a small gift for a future astronaut. He smiled as he knelt to Leo's level, the gesture radiating kindness. Really? Leo's eyes lit up, full of wonder at the prospect of receiving something new. Absolutely, Alexander said, meeting Emma's gaze over Leo's head. There was a hint of mischief in his eyes that made her heart race. Emma couldn't help but feel a twinge of discomfort mingled with gratitude. You really don't have to do that, she interjected, her voice firm yet laced with uncertainty. It is just a toy. Think of it as a small investment in a budding reader and dreamer, he insisted, his tone light but the underlying sincerity unmistakable. She hesitated, torn between her pride and the genuine kindness he was offering. Well, if you insisted, she finally relented, unable to suppress a smile. But only if Leo promises to share his reading adventures with me. I promise, Mom. Leo exclaimed, beaming with joy as they moved toward the checkout counter once more. At Alexander Pay, Emma felt an undeniable shift within her. There was a warmth blossoming in her chest, a flicker of excitement at the idea of connecting with someone new. But that whispered in the corners of her mind the fear of what inviting such a connection might mean. What are your plans for the rest of the day? Alexander asked casually as they stepped back outside, the sun now directly overhead. I know, we have a few errands to run, Emma stammered, her heart racing again. But we'll probably spend the afternoon reading together. Sounds perfect, he said, turning toward her, his expression softening. Maybe if you were interested, we could do this again sometime. I'd love to hear about Leo's progress. She could feel her heart fluttering at his suggestion, but the reality of her situation settled in. I am not sure, she said, a hint of caution creeping into her tone. It is not often I meet someone who challenges your status quo, he finished for her, a knowing smile playing on his lips. I get it, life is complicated, and I respect that. Emma studied him for a moment, searching for signs of insincerity, but all she found was warmth and understanding in his hazel eyes. It is just I am not sure I am ready for anything more than friendship. My focus is on Leo and making sure he has a stable life. Totally understandable, Alexander replied, his voice sincere. But connections, friendships, they can grow in unexpected ways, can't they? No pressure. There was a slight tension in the air as Emma absorbed his words. She felt the heaviness of her responsibilities, but also a thrill at the thought of what could be a chance to explore something new. Would it be too forward to ask for your number? He ventured cautiously, his expression hopeful yet respectful. I'd love to keep in touch, no strings attached. Emma's heart raced at the prospect. She hesitated, battling the internal conflict between her desire for connection and her fear of vulnerability. Bye, she started, but Leo's excited voice interrupted her thoughts. Can we go home? Mom, I want to read the Aliens book. Emma glanced down at her son, his joy infectious. She took a breath, her heart shifting back to the present. Yes, absolutely, she said, ruffling Leo's hair as a smile broke through her apprehension. Maybe we could exchange numbers when you're ready, Alexander said, his tone gentle and understanding. I'll be around. She smiled, gratitude and regret mingling in her chest as she leaned down to Leo's level. Let us get home and dive into those stories, shall we? As they walked away, Emma glanced back over her shoulder, catching Alexander's gaze one last time. He stood there, a warm smile on his lips, an easy confidence radiating from him that drew her in. In that moment, she felt an undeniable pull, a fleeting sense of possibility. Later that evening, Emma found herself curled up on the couch with Leo nestled beside her, the warm glow of her reading lamp illuminating the pages of the bright blue alien book. The world outside faded into a blur, and for a brief moment, the weight of the day melted away. Look, Mommy, this one has 3 eyes, Leo exclaimed, pointing eagerly at the illustration, his voice brimming with excitement. A smile tugged at Emma's lips as she leaned closer to him, sharing in his wonder. That means he can see all around him, she responded, leaning into the joy of the moment. But do you think he gets along with the other aliens? Maybe they could all be friends, Leo said, his imagination soaring. Emma felt her heart swell with pride. Her son's ability to weave stories from pictures was remarkable. She tucked the loose strand of hair behind her ear, the earlier encounter with Alexander flickering in her mind. Her thoughts drifted back to the bookstore, the way his eyes had danced with warmth and sincerity. How effortlessly he had engaged with Leo, making him laugh and feel special. A part of her ached at the missed opportunity to connect with him further, yet another part was filled with caution. Monty? Leo's voice broke through her reverie. Can we read the next part? Of course. Emma replied, shifting her focus back to him. As they turned the pages, she tried to push thoughts of Alexander aside, but the warmth of his presence lingered like a sweet aftertaste. That night, as she tucked Leo into bed, she couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted within her, a yearning for connection that had been dormant for too long. She kissed Leo goodnight, smoothing his hair back from his forehead. Good night, little astronaut, sweet dreams, she whispered, watching as he nestled into the covers, a peaceful expression settling over his face. As she walked out of his room, a sense of longing washed over her, coupled with a flicker of guilt. Could she really allow herself to explore something new? The thought felt both exhilarating and terrifying. She felt like she was on a tightrope, wavering between safety and the unknown. The next day, Emma tried to push aside her thoughts of Alexander. She had errands to run and chores to tackle. Life wouldn't pause just because she felt a spark of something different. Yet, as she moved through her day, his image played in her mind like a favorite song, refusing to fade. Mom. Leo's voice jolted her out of her thoughts as she folded laundry in the living room. Can we go to the park today? I want to play on the swings. Of course, Leo. She responded, feeling the warmth of his enthusiasm wash over her. Let me finish this and we'll head out. After a quick change of clothes and packing a small picnic basket, they set off to the nearby park. The sun was shining brightly, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves overhead as they arrived. Look, Mom, I can run faster than the wind. Leo yelled, darting off toward the playground. Emma chuckled, her heart lightening as she followed him. As he climbed onto the swings, the joy radiating from him was contagious. She sat on a nearby bench, her thoughts once again drifting to the previous day. Will Alexander be back at the bookstore? Hey, I am going to the big sleigh, Leo shouted, his voice echoing like a horn in the open space. A flicker of concern crossed Emma's mind, but she knew she had to let him explore. Just be careful, sweetheart, she called back, watching him scramble up the wooden structure. Moments later, Leo slid down triumphantly, his face a picture of pure glee. Did you see me, Mommy? I am a superhero. Absolutely, you're the best superhero, she called, her heart swelling at his exuberance. As she admired her son's confidence, she caught sight of a familiar figure in the distance. Alexander was strolling along a path, his presence commanding yet relaxed. Emma's heart raced, a mix of surprise and excitement flooding her senses. Mom? Leo's voice broke through her thoughts as he ran back to her. Can we go get ice cream, please? Sure, buddy, she replied, glancing back at Alexander, who had just turned and spotted them. He walked over, a smile spreading across his face as he approached. Fancy meeting you here, he said, an easy charm in his voice. Emma felt her cheeks flush as she met his gaze, a rush of warmth flooding her chest. Hi, Alexander, we were just about to get ice cream, she said, trying to keep her tone light despite the butterflies swelling within her. Mind if I join you? He asked, his eyes sparkling with mischief. I could go for a scoop myself. I suppose that would be okay, Emma stammered, feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension. She could sense Leo's curiosity bubbling beneath the surface, aware of the new dynamic unfolding. Awesome, what's your favorite flavor? He asked Leo, kneeling to be at eye level with him. Chocolate chip cookie dough, Leo exclaimed, his excitement infectious. Great choice, I'll have to try it, Alexander said, rising to his feet, his demeanor relaxed and engaging. As they made their way to the ice cream stand, Emma felt an electric thrill in their camaraderie. The ease with which Alexander interacted with Leo made her heart skip a beat. It was as if he effortlessly filled the role that had been absent for so long. Have you always loved ice cream this much? Alexander asked Leo as they waited in line. Yeah, I think it is magical, Leo replied, his eyes wide with enthusiasm. Magical, I like that, Alexander said, glancing at Emma with a twinkle in his eyes. What about you, Emma? Are you a fan of the magical treat? She smiled, feeling the warmth of his gaze. I have to admit, it has been a while since I indulged, but I think today is a good day for magic, she replied, her voice teasing yet sincere. As they ordered their ice cream, Emma felt a sense of camaraderie blooming between them, the ice cream shop filled with laughter and lightness. She was reminded that deep connections could form in unexpected moments, but the walls she had built around her heart still lingered. They found a shady spot under a sprawling tree, the gentle rustle of leaves harmonizing with their chatter. Leo was oblivious to the quiet tension that danced between Emma and Alexander as they exchanged glances, laughter spilling into the air with a hint of flirtation woven in. You know, I almost didn't recognize you without the library books, Alexander teased, wiping a drip of ice cream from his chin. Emma couldn't help but chuckle. I guess I do have a bit of a bookish reputation, she replied playfully, feeling a lightness in her heart that had been missing for too long. Bookish can be charming, he said, his tone sincere. Especially when you have such a vivid imagination to go along with it. Now you read just buttering me up, Emma said, her heart racing slightly as she felt the weight of his gaze on her. Not at all, he replied, a hint of seriousness lacing his tone. I genuinely admire how you embrace being a mother. It is commendable. Emma felt a warmth spread through her at his words, but a hint of self-doubt crept in. I am just doing my best, she said softly, her gaze falling to her half-eaten ice cream. I often worry if it is enough. From where I am standing, it looks like you are doing more than enough, Alexander said, his eyes steady. Leo is bright, curious, and full of life. That says it all. She met his gaze, the vulnerability hanging in the air as the moment deepened. Thank you, she murmured, feeling a flicker of hope. Just then, Leo interrupted with a wide grin. Can we have a race back to the swings? Absolutely, Alexander exclaimed, jumping to his feet. Ompri. The two of them shared a conspiratorial look, and Emma couldn't help but smile at the sight of them together, her heart warming in the process. 1, 2, 3, go! Leo shouted, bolting off in a burst of energy, with Alexander hot on his heels. Emma watched them run, a sense of joy swelling in her chest. For the first time in ages, she felt an urge to embrace something beyond the confines of her daily routine, a spark of something new. As she followed them back to the swings, she couldn't shake the feeling that maybe, just maybe, she could let her guard down. And for a moment, standing amidst the laughter and joy, the uncertainty of tomorrow felt far away. The next few days rolled together like the pages of a beloved book, each one a blend of routine and enchanting new possibilities. Emma found herself thinking about Alexander more often than not. The spontaneous ice cream outing left a mark on her heart, a subtle thrill coursing through her veins like a whisper of hope. As she navigated the challenges of single motherhood, that memory flashed in her mind like a beacon, urging her to consider what lay beyond her comfort zone. "Mommy, can we read about the dinosaurs today?" Leo's voice brought her back to the present as he bounced into the kitchen, his hair tousled from sleep and his eyes sparkling with anticipation. "Sure, how about we find that big dinosaur book we got last week?" Emma replied, smiling as she poured him a bowl of cereal, her thoughts still drifting between reality and possibility. "Yay, I want to find the T-Rex," he shouted, his little fist pumping the air. The excitement in his voice was infectious, and Emma found herself chuckling at his enthusiasm. As they settled on the couch, Leo flipped through the pages, pointing out vibrant illustrations of dinosaurs that roamed the earth long before they ever existed. Emma watched him, her heart swelling with pride. He was an adventurous spirit, eager to explore worlds beyond their own, a reflection of her own unfulfilled dreams. "Did you know that T-Rex had really tiny arms?" Leo asked, flipping pages faster than she could keep up. "I did, but maybe they were really strong arms," Emma suggested playfully. "Like, how do you think he used them?" Leo furrowed his brow, contemplating the possibilities. Maybe he used them to hug his friends, or to wave hello. Emma said, leaning closer, sharing in his imaginative game. "What do you think a T-Rex would say?" "Roar," Leo exclaimed, throwing his head back with laughter. Emma joined him, the sound echoing through their cozy living room. But even amidst the laughter, a flicker of uncertainty danced in Emma's mind. Could she really allow herself to explore something more with Alexander? The thought felt both thrilling and terrifying, like standing at the edge of a cliff, wondering if she could take the leap. Later that afternoon, she decided to indulge in a little self-care. With Leo engrossed in his dinosaurs, Emma poured a cup of tea and settled into her favorite armchair. As she flipped open her notebook, a sanctuary of thoughts and dreams, she couldn't help but write about Alexander. ***, he is charming, confident, and kind. ***, she scribbled. ***, why is it so easy to talk to him? But can I really let someone in again? ***. As she wrote, she felt the tension within her ease, if only slightly. The fear of opening her heart again battled with the longing for companionship. She thought of Alexander's warm smile, the way it lit up his hazel eyes, making her feel seen and valued. By the time Leo's excited voice broke her concentration again, Emma felt a sense of clarity. "Mom, can we go to the park again today?" he asked, bouncing on the balls of his feet. "Of course, let me just grab a few snacks," she replied, heart racing at the idea of returning to the place where she had last seen Alexander. The prospect both thrilled and terrified her. The park was bustling with families enjoying the sunny afternoon. As they approached the swings, Emma's heart quickened, scanning the area for any sign of Alexander. But he was nowhere in sight, and a pang of disappointment shot through her. "Look, Mommy, I can swing so high," Leo shouted, pumping his legs with all his might, his laughter ringing out like music. "Just be careful," Emma called back, forcing a smile as she watched him soar through the air. It was hard not to feel a hint of envy at this carefree spirit, something she once had. As she settled onto a nearby bench, she caught a glimpse of her reflection in a passing stroller. The woman staring back at her looked tired, worn down by the day-to-day grind. Emma shook her head, determined to push aside the creeping doubt. But just as she was about to lose herself in the moment, she heard an all-too-familiar voice behind her. "Well, if it isn't the superhero duo." Emma turned, her breath catching as she met Alexander's warm gaze. He was casually dressed in jeans and a fitted t-shirt, the sunlight catching the glint of mischief in his eyes. "Fancy running into you here," he added, a playful grin stretching across his face. "Hi, Alexander," Emma replied, feeling her cheeks heat up. "We just came for some fresh air." "Looks like you brought the sunshine with you," he said, glancing over to Leo, who is still happily swinging. "How is the future astronaut doing?" "Great, he has been mastering the swings," Emma said, her heart fluttering at the energy between them. "How about you, enjoying a break from the tech world?" Alexander chuckled, shaking his head. "Always, but nothing beats the joy of seeing a kid swing like that. It is pure magic." Emma felt a warmth blossom within her at his words. It really is, she agreed, her eyes flickering back to Leo. Mind if I join you for a bit? He asked, gesturing to the empty space on the bench next to her. Not at all, she replied, a smile breaking through her hesitation. As he settled beside her, the air around them felt charged with unspoken possibilities. How is the reading going? He asked, his tone genuinely curious. Pretty well, actually. He is obsessed with dinosaurs right now. I think we might have a paleontologist on our hands, Emma said, laughing lightly. And what about you? Any new adventures? Working on a project that has been consuming my every waking thought, he replied, his expression turning serious. But I find time to escape into books, keeps me grounded. Emma nodded, sensing the depths behind his words. What do you read for grounding? Mostly classics. I find something timeless about them. They remind me that life's messiness is part of the experience, you know? He turned to her, his gaze intent. How about you? I've been diving back into some of my favorite stories that remind me of the magic in everyday life, she said softly, feeling a flicker of vulnerability. That is a beautiful perspective, Alexander said, leaning slightly closer, his voice dropping to a more intimate tone. Life can be more enchanting than we often give it credit for. Emma felt her heartbeat quicken as their eyes locked. There was a depth to his gaze, a shared understanding that made her pulse race. But just then, Leo's voice broke through, pulling her back into the moment. Mom, Alexander, look what I can do. Leo shouted, running toward them with arms wide open, a broad grin on his face. Wow, what a big leap! Alexander exclaimed, excitement lighting up his features. You re natural. Emma watched the two of them interact, a mix of joy and unease washing over her. Leo's laughter filled the air, radiating innocence and hope, while Emma's heart twisted with conflicting emotions. As they continued to play, Emma felt herself relax, the tension ebbing away even as she held on to her doubts. She wanted to bask in the warmth of this moment, but the reality of her responsibilities loomed at the edges of her thoughts. Leo, are you ready for a break? Emma finally called out as the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting soft shadows around them. Yeah, can we get ice cream again? Leo asked, bouncing on his feet, his eyes shining bright. Of course, that sounds like a plan, Emma replied, turning to Alexander. You are welcome to join us if you do like. Count me in, he said, a grin spreading across his face. As they made their way to the ice cream stand, Emma felt the tension between them rekindle, shaping itself into something complex and electric. She couldn't shake the realization that Alexander was not just a stranger, he was someone who saw her beyond the surface, someone who ignited a spark within her. So what is your favorite flavor, Emma? He asked, his hazel eyes sparkling with mischief. I do have to say mint chocolate chip, she said, her heart racing. It is refreshing and a little unexpected, just like life. Mint chocolate chip it is, he declared, clearly delighted with her choice. I like surprises. As they stood in line waiting for their ice cream, Emma felt a sense of anticipation building between them, something both thrilling and frightening. It was as if they were dancing around a flame, the air crackling with electricity. Hey, what if I told you I know a great place for ice cream that is less crowded? He suggested, his tone light and inviting. Really, where? Emma asked, her curiosity piquing. There is a little parlor a few blocks away that makes homemade flavors. I could take you there sometime, he offered, his gaze steady on hers. Are you asking me on a date? Emma teased, her cheeks flushing slightly. Would it be too forward of me? He replied, a playful glint in his eye. I just think it would be fun to learn more about you. The words hung in the air, thick,